Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday Night Music Show. We got Foursquare going on here at the top of the show with our superstar producer engineer, Mr. Howie Darkstar. He's sporting some compression tonight, so that should be kind of fun. Got some nice bass to his voice going on there. We also have Pastor Jay from Swingin' Temecula, California.
Good evening, everyone. How are you?
And our special guest for the first part of the show is Mr. Joel Loveless. Don't let the name Loveless fool you. He's got a lot of love to give. So,
Jay
is full of it. Love, that is.
love, that is. Yes. Joel, tell us about your gig coming up this weekend.
I was presented 2 weeks ago with an opportunity to do a 60th birthday party.
Oh,
and
nice.
Being that I'll be 60 in basically 3 weeks, I felt like, hey, this is going to be great. But for me, my senior years in high school and early college years was R&B, disco, Prince, Could Function, Kool and the Gang, that kind of stuff.
You're one of the cool guys.
So, I was in the roller rinks and that kind of stuff. Well,
sure.
The first initial contact with the client, texting, and then I asked him to send me his Apple playlist. And I'm going to share it here real quick.
Please do. Share this list
for you. And it's interesting and something that I've never done before.
Have a look, Jay. So what's going on here is this gentleman has a list of the songs that he digs.
Yep.
And I was scanning through this list. Joel's concerned with the dancing part, but I think there's some diamonds here that he can use for dancing. But Joel, before we scroll down the list too much, can you tell us some of his don't plays?
Okay, his email said no bluegrass.
Cool.
He doesn't want England Dan, John Ford Coley, Michael McDonald, yacht rock kind of stuff.
Got it.
There were a few other things, but that's pretty much the extent of it. So the list here is, I asked him, he's a deadhead.
Which is bluegrass all day long.
That's what I was saying earlier. That's
yes, it is.
And bluegrass all day long.
He's an alt rock, early 70s rock guy. And from this list, The Clash, Springsteen, early Springsteen, not the hit stuff in the 80s.
Right.
I mean, you got some Boz Scaggs, you've got there's Rolling Stones, some Joan Jett, some Ramones. So I'm going through this list going like, kind of scratching my head going like, how am I going to do a dance? Because there's going to be 160 people at this place and the women are going to want to dance. Well, so I had a client meeting with him and I went over the list and I'm going to, as he's my client, I'm going to start with his list and play most of his music. But I asked him, so, okay, what can we fit in for dance music? So I'm going like, okay, Wild Cherry, Average White Band,
Commodores,
Zeppelin, Commodores, Earth, Wind and Fire,
Stones.
He was saying he's okay with Prince and Madonna a little bit.
Rockin' the Casbah by The Clash would work.
The Clash is Rock the Casbah. Yeah. I started spouting off.
Should I stay or should I go?
Right. Yeah. Well, I started saying like, what about In Excess, The Police, Genesis, The Cars, and I started pulling off all of these new wave rock songs from the late 70s and early 80s,
right,
as dance music.
Yeah.
And so I began to realize that I can stay with his request and stay in his genre and still pull off a pretty decent dance set without going to hardcore disco and R&B.
Yeah. Right. I think the key is, and I think our colleagues would agree that, you want your host personality to be reflected in your set, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're their jukebox. I mean, you got to throw some stuff in there that makes sense for the crowd in front of you. But I really think you're on the right track. Now, right off the top of your head, Howie, what could you add to this list that would enhance the event?
I'm thinking because it's a 60th birthday, the focus is on one person. Some Kind of Wonderful, Grand Funk Railroad.
Oh, good one. Good one.
Mhm.
We'll do one at a time. And by the way, I see Shakedown Street there by the Grateful Dead. Anybody who doesn't know, that's a fantastic Dead
It
song
is.
if you want to get some dancers.
And by the way, to add to that, on the same album, if you want a dance track, there's a track called "I Need a Miracle." That's on Shakedown Street. That's is a dance track, in my opinion, that I think would totally fit too.
Is it on the list? Because it might be. And he likes album tracks.
Well, if he likes album tracks and he likes Shakedown Street, I guarantee he likes the song "I Need a Miracle." Plus, you could draw from the Dead and do what's the old Rascals track they covered? Oh, I'll think of it. Yeah, I'll think of it. But it's a famous, like, you know, like one of those kind of old school 60s rock tracks, but the Dead do a version of the Rascals track, I think, that would totally fit.
At the very bottom of the screen, I see Steelers Wheel Stuck in the Middle with You.
Dance track.
So right away, I'm thinking Redbone, Come and Get Your Love. I'm thinking
dance track.
You know, things like that would work really well.
Got
That was going to be my next
and
pick.
Family Stone in there, so Rufus, Chaka Khan, possibly.
But you could add to this, Joel, right? You could throw, like, you know, Martha Reeves and, you know, Four Tops and Temptations.
He was open to Temptations, Spinners, OJs, Four Tops.
Oh, Spinners?
Oh, you're good. You're totally good.
Like I said, but when I first saw the list, I was going like, uh-oh. I'm going like, well, how am I going to do a dance? And then, but after talking to the client and then talking to y'all with all the extra ideas I'm getting for them, I'm feeling really good about this.
I would have a lot of fun with this.
I figured that would happen. Brian and Jay would just eat this one alive.
You know what? You get to pivot, and it's really timely. Because I'm going to read you a couple of tracks real fast. I'm doing a 60th birthday the first week of June, and the clients, it's a surprise, but the client's friend said, here's a local band we go to see, and here's their playlist. This is the playlist the client is giving. There's 250 songs, and I've already said, like, that's awesome, and I'll pull from the list. Like, they're not all getting played.
Yeah.
But here's just 70s, and not all of them, but just some. Dancing Queen Abba, Staying Alive, Should Be Dancing, Old Time Rock and Roll, Brick by Daz, BTO Taking Care of Business, Sherilyn To Be Real, Chic, Good Times and La Freak, Brick House, Bad Girls, Last Dance, September. I mean, there's literally like 50, 70 songs that are all pretty much dancing. Disco Inferno, Boogie Oogie, Rapper's Delight, We Are Family, Brown Sugar, Ain't Too Proud to Beg, Flashlight. Like, you could totally kill with this list.
No,
you know?
I think Joel's going to do fine, but I understand. I mean, when you look at a list like this, your first thought is, oh no. But
that was exactly my thought.
Right.
Going, what am I going to do here?
What am I going to do? But then once you really start dissecting it, I mean, before you shut the screen down, I noticed he had Bitch by the Stones on there. I've had nothing but success with that track.
That's a good track.
And when I think about the Spinners, my go-to Spinner song, and I love the Spinners, by the way, I'll Be Around and Could It Be I'm Falling in Love, but my go-to Spinner song for a dance floor is Rubber Band Man.
I was going to say that song kills, Rubber Band Man.
Yeah.
Kills.
And that's kind of got that, I don't want to say it's got the Dead vibe, but it's more Dead-ish than the other ones.
Ohio Players, the OJs. I mean, the other question we haven't even asked to qualify this list, how long is the party and how long is the expectation of dancing?
It's 4 hours, starts 7 to 11.
So you figure cocktail, then dinner?
He's got an open bar. I figure the first hour and a half is going to be a cocktail, just mingling with his guests. And then the party's going to start 8:30, 9 o'clock. The dancing party's going to start cranking up.
You got to find 60 songs.
Yeah, I'm going to start with his list. And from what y'all have told me, what I'm learning is there's 25 good dance songs in his list.
Yeah.
To start the night.
Easy.
Then I can start working to KC and I can work into Brick.
Right.
You know what, though, Joel? I would switch it back and forth. I would do his, yours, his, yours. So that way throughout the night, he feels he's still getting his list. You're just subsidizing it. Because if you do all of his and then Phil, there's that you run the risk of him going, oh man, I really wish he had chosen this. Versus if you give him a taste every other track-ish.
Right.
He's just going to be happy.
That was my thought.
That's what I would. That'd be my rec.
I wanted to stay with his original list and his vibe and what he likes in music, dabble in some other stuff, but keep bringing him back because it's his party.
Yeah, exactly.
He's the guest of honor, and we wanted him to feel like he had a great time. And I wanted to make sure, I told him I wanted to make sure that his audience is not constantly coming to him asking for me to play certain songs. I'm going like, I'm going to stay with your list, but I'm going to work in their stuff, and I'm going to let you enjoy your party without them constantly harassing you to play certain songs.
What I'm seeing that he's doing here, just looking at the list, I'm kind of feeling him. What he's doing is he's trying to get you to not play Satisfaction by the Stones or Brown Sugar that classic hit stations have beat to death. He doesn't want the A track or the B track. He wants like what I call the F track. He wants kind of the wacky one. That's why he's asking for the Boss Skaggs songs he's asking for. He's not asking for Low Down, Lido Shuffle. Or
I was going to say, I didn't see Lido on there. Yeah.
No, he doesn't want that. He wants something a little off, kind of weird. The weirdo F track that everybody's like, oh, I remember this song.
Well, drop like Hollywood Swingin' by Kool and the Gang.
Yep.
And then you got him in the pocket of, oh, good, he's not going, Celebration.
Right.
He's going a little left. When I did my wedding a couple weeks ago, we agreed on classic rock for cocktail. And they said, do you mind filling it in? And I said, absolutely. And I opened with Bob Seger, Hollywood Nights. I think it's one of the best rock songs ever. But Stones-wise, I played Heartbreaker. I probably had 3 guys come over to me going like, dude, I haven't heard this song in 40 years. I'm like, I'm playing classic rock. They're like, yeah, but you're not playing like Sweet Home Alabama, and you're not playing the like, I'm like, no, I'm not gonna. I tried to get, you knew the group, and I did play Whitesnake, Here I Go Again, because it was the day Tawny Catania died. And I was like, oh, this makes sense. And then when I played that, I'm like, well, she dated Robin Crosby, and it's her leg on the cover of the first Rat album, so I played Round and Round. And again, you have people going like, yeah, I know this song, but I've only heard it in my car. I haven't heard it blasting out of arguably some of the best sound I've ever owned, the Evolve 50 from Electro Voice.
I'd have gone back for more with Rat, by the way, because you never...
You know what? I love that song.
Yeah.
And I love You Think You're Tough even more, because that was the first time I ever heard them. But I think there's that sense of, you can only go to the side so much. Like with Bob Seger, you can play anything by Seger, and everyone knows, that's Bob Seger. And I wanted to keep a certain speed going, but it was open to my discretion. And, I made choices. Like somebody made a comment, wow, I think I told you guys, came up, I played George Harrison, What Is Life?
Yeah.
And he came up and he goes, man, you started playing this. And I looked at my girlfriend, I'm like, man, this song totally doesn't fit a wedding. This is an odd choice by the DJ because he's killing it during cocktail. And then he said like 30 seconds later, I had to come tell you what an awesome choice that was. I'm like, you know what, dude? I think it's the perfect song for everything. In fact, I'll tell you how I got it. I played it as a recessional at a wedding. And when I hit play and I watched this couple from 30 feet away walk down the aisle with everyone clapping and standing, I thought, man, don't ever forget George Harrison, What Is Life? Because this song just screams celebration.
I've been thinking ever since
joy
monologuing about BTO. Like, if I had to pick a BTO song for this, it would not be Taking Care of Business. I would not play this at this event.
What would you play?
Well, I'm trying to figure it out. I wouldn't play You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet, because those songs have been sold off to commercials. The ones that you don't hear in commercials or at every wedding, that's kind of a little different, maybe, is Let It Ride. Maybe that would be the BTO song I'd pick.
You know what, though? And what I love and respect about your skill in this is that you go right up to the razor. But I think there are times, as much as you want to get off the beaten track, I think there are times you got to bring people back to the We Are Family vibe sometimes too.
I wouldn't with this list. If this guy had some A tracks on the list, I would agree with you.
But this guy doesn't like bluegrass, and yet he likes the Dead. That's a discuss. That's Joel. At some point that night, you need to go up to him when you've won him over. When you've killed it at the very end of the night, this is what I want you to say when you go, how was it? And he goes, dude, this was perfect. I couldn't have asked for more. I want you to look him dead in the eye and go, I got one other question for you. You don't like bluegrass. He's like, no, man, I hate bluegrass. But you like the Dead.
And Fish.
And Fish. Like, they're based in bluegrass. Like, I'm curious, is it what, like, Ernest Tubbs bluegrass you don't like
Probably.
Banjo on the Mountaintop bluegrass.
Right. Yeah, the Beverly Hillbillies theme song.
Yeah, like Earl Scruggs and that kind of stuff. Or
Deliverance, banjo, blue.
that's what I'm thinking. He doesn't want that dueling banjo vibe.
Right.
You know, what is it? Travis Tritt, Country Boy, which is a great track.
Okay, that's the Oscars playing off song.
Oh.
Yeah, but in his list,
I think it's called Ode to Bill Conte, because he wrote it. And I had to play it at a wedding. So I'll tell you that story later.
yeah, it was also interesting in his list that he didn't want today's country, but he said Johnny Cash, Merle Haggard, and Waylon were perfectly fine.
Old
Yeah.
school.
I know this guy. I mean, I know
Like I
50
said,
guys like this.
when I
back
saw the
home.
list, I immediately thought Brian and Jay. And
Yeah.
I was hoping I would get a chance to sit down and have a good talk. You're making me feel really good about that. At first, I was going like, "Am I up for this?"
You're totally up for this.
I'm working it with. I worked it with the client and felt a lot better. And now that I worked with y'all, I feel like I really got a good direction to go. And I think I'm
Yeah, if anybody was going to feel overwhelmed with this list, it would be, overwhelmed. Like my overwhelming thing would be, there's not enough time to play all the good stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
The only thing that would make me.
How many songs are on his list, Joe?
53.
On his list was 52, and
But
I usually get
stuff
60
that
to
you can
80
put
a
with it.
night.
Yeah,
You'll
you don't
never
have to
fit it
fill
all
much
in.
gaps.
Well, unless you find, and I do this a lot, I'll one up the person's request. If I see somebody's asked for one thing, I think, well, I can play that. They asked for it, but this is a better one, so I'll play this one instead, and I bet they could slide.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I do that a lot.
sure.
If I can find a better song than what they've asked for, but in the same realm, I do it.
I asked.
you just need to know your client, because there are clients that will appreciate that, and then there are clients that are like, but I wanted this. And that's why I always walk on glass the week of the wedding and say, your list is awesome, and I'm going to play as much of this as I can, but let's agree on one thing. I promise I won't try to play a song that I don't think is perfect for the night if you agree to let me do my job. And 100% my clients go, no, just do whatever you want. We trust you. And now you got it, because when they hear their music, there's a sense of, oh man, I love this. Oh, we did pick this. Versus if I just play their list, I always feel like I'm shortchanging the client. Like, you know, I've told clients when they go, we've got like 5 hours of music. I'm like, then don't hire me. I'm a waste of money.
When I first looked at the list, I'm thinking, I'm playing the client's list. I'm going like, what am I going to do for dance music? Because I'm not, the list is kind of foreign to me.
Right.
I spent a lot of time listening to the songs, but I was thinking like dance music. And then after I started thinking about what he was doing, you know, there's plenty of dance music and there's plenty of dance music I can add. And then when I actually talked to the client, he presented to me and said, I needed you for the dance music. And that's when I started filling in the hole.
Fantastic.
And everything. But I want to stay true to his list because it's his event.
Right.
Right.
No,
Now,
you're
is he the
thinking
one
right.
that hired you for his own party, his own 60th?
It was presented to me as the club owner of the restaurant bar owner just pinged me and said, could you do this? And he gave me his number. And so I don't think he actually went out and looked for anybody.
Well,
I couldn't think of-
my feeling on this, and based on that list, just my gut tells me that he is going to have his closest friends for his 60th. And I don't think you can go wrong playing, you know, some of these F cuts like Brian's saying, because I don't think you need to concentrate too much, just in my opinion, on dancing. These people are older. They're not going to dance all night.
But he
They
wanted
might
Joel
be-
for dance
They
music.
might be just like, you know, hey, I love that song.
What's fun
You know,
about
I've done events where it's like, well, they didn't dance a lot, but then they're like, man, we really dug that. And they come up and said, hey.
Yeah.
I
I'm
asked
sure you've had people like me, Howie, that have said to you at the end of the night, man, I'm so sorry. I thought they'd dance more. And I'm like, did you guys have a good time? And they're like, oh, I haven't had this much fun ever. And it's like, then it doesn't matter if you dance. Dancing is icing on the, guys, I hate to tell you,
icing
dancing
on
is icing on the cake of every event.
it is.
I agree with
Even at a wedding. We've all been hired by people that have come up to us and said, do you have a card? Sure, here you go.
Yep.
A month later, you meet with them, and you say, "So, how'd you hear about me?" "Oh, we met at the wedding for Brian and Blanca." "Oh, we did?" "Yeah, no, I was there all night. I never was on the dance floor. I hate to dance."
It's in Fantasyland.
But you know what?
Yeah.
I loved the music, and it wasn't too loud, and you didn't talk all night. And I don't remember the last time I went to a wedding and had that much fun.
I want to talk about Bruce Springsteen for a minute because I noticed there was a lot of Springsteen on that list.
Right. But
And that's a lot of jam band stuff, you know?
It's his early stuff. It's more jammy.
Yeah,
Like Tunnel of Love is almost a dance song, but that's way late.
well, on his list, it's No Surrender, Bobby Jean, She's the One, Burning Train, Sherry Darling, Rosalita, and Bad.
That's a dance song. Rosalita's a good, like, that's a swinging dance song.
The one that I would throw in there if it were my gig and I wanted to impress this guy.
Thunder Road.
No, actually, the one I've had excellent success with, you don't hear it very often. It would not obviously be anything off the Born in the USA album. That's too late. It would not be Born to Run. The one I have really good success with is Hungry Heart. Because
That's a good song.
It's almost
That's a good song.
It's a good dance song.
Yeah, it is.
People will dance to it like a waltz almost.
Well, it's like playing Fire early in the night. You can play Bruce Springsteen Fire.
Yeah.
And that gets a great response because the real fans, that's the period that they started with. And understand, like us, we're all older. You know, when this client came to me, they don't know how old I am. So when they're like, you know, as a 60-year-old, the music you're into, and I'm like, dude, I love the Plasmatics the same way I love the Stones, the same way I love whatever came out last week. So I'm different.
Yeah.
But my friends that are my age, you know, some of them are absolutely, they live from like 1975 to 1988. And that's their world. You know, they literally, that's the world they're in.
Yeah.
And they're not leaving it.
Yeah, I see those folks when I go back.
You know, and that's their vibe. That's what they want. I never understood it when I would read old guitar magazines and guys like that I loved, like Ace Frehley of Kiss, would say, they're like, who are you into? Pete Townsend, Rick Derringer, Ted Nugent, Keith Richards, Chuck Berry, Howlin', like all the stuff from the past. And it was real enlightening to realize as you get older, you tend to go back to where you started. You know, like if I could put on Minute by Minute by the Doobie Brothers tonight, I'd enjoy every track on it. The first Police album, every track on it. Even though you never hear me talk about that. But yet the new stuff isn't delivered the way the old stuff was. This guy's coming up like you and me and Brian and Howie, where he got the album. So at some point he was lying on his bed, reading the liner notes, and the album played through side one and he flipped it over.
Let's talk about the Police for a minute, because Joel mentioned that he thought some Police would be a really good idea to sprinkle into the mix. Where, knowing what we know, just based off of this gentleman's request list, what Police track do you think you'd go with?
Walking on the Moon?
I was almost thinking that, or So Lonely is kind of an up-tempo, fun song. I would.
Yeah, that's fun. I mean, even though Roxanne is, in some opinions, overdone, I still think it's old enough now. It's like Cheap Trick. Yeah, they've got some great B-side stuff, but playing I Want You to Want Me
Surrender.
is just one of those things. Even Surrender, they're those tracks that they just aren't going away.
Right.
That's
You know,
Cheap Trick.
It is Cheap Trick, but I'm saying it's like that when it comes to the Police. I think Roxanne is still something that people hear that dun, 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 that percussive guitar, and they go, oh, I remember this because it happened 40 years ago. And I remember where I was and yada, yada, yada. But either, you know, Murder by Numbers is a great Police track that's underplayed.
Oh.
Walking on the Moon is a great Police track. So Lonely, Bottom of the Ocean. And So Lonely and Bottom of the Ocean are both first albums. So you're getting that way throwback. But like even The Clash, you got a Clash fan? Try Clamp Down. Clamp Down is a dance song. I'm sorry, that's a dance song all day.
Train in Vain on the list. That's a good one.
That's a great one.
The one I really like, and you might actually be able to get away with, is called Overpowered by Funk by The Clash.
That's a good track. That's obscure. I think that would delight him on the obscure side.
That might be like shoot you score right there. That might be the bullseye.
Yeah, that's a G side track. That's not even F side.
Funk by The Clash. It's a very funky tune. And it's The Clash. And if he likes album tracks, he'll look at you like, oh my God, this guy's legit.
Well, I stole your tracks. The Commodores, High on Sunshine. Even I credit you with this next one, but you didn't give it to me, I don't think. But I credit you with it, which is Ray Parker Jr., Into the Groove.
Oh, Radio?
Oh, I love that song.
Right, but it's an instrumental. I play that all the time now, and I get the famous, oh man, I love Earth, Wind, and Fire. I'm like, me too, but that's not who this is.
Right. Close.
Yeah.
Wait, you sure? I'm like, well, I'm the one playing it, yeah. I'm like, don't use your phone. Tell me who you think it is.
Right.
And they never guess Radio. And I think it excites people. It's sort of like if you give them a drink and they take a sip and go, ooh, this is a blueberry and something. And you go, close. Now their brain is locked in.
There are a lot of old tracks like that. One that just comes to mind, a lot of people think it's Crosby, Stills, and Nash, is Steely Dan's Dirty Work because they use a different lead singer. And the other one that I was thinking about is, I just totally slipped out of my head. What the hell was it? It's always a mistake. Oh, I remember. William Devon, Be Thankful for What You've Got. Most people credit that as Curtis Mayfield, but it is not. It's William Devon. That's a really cool tune if you're looking for stepping music or some like deep
I downloaded that song less than a week ago.
Really?
I heard it on the radio and go like, man, I haven't heard this in forever. And I downloaded it immediately.
I can only do the long version because that whole Diamond in the Back, Sunroof Top, digging the scene with the gangster lean just goes on for like 3 minutes. And that's my favorite part of the song. The radio edit is just like a little blip.
Yeah, he had Billy Preston.
The long version.
He had Billy Preston and Sly and the Family Stone in there. So that William Devon track will go over really good.
Oh,
Huge.
Out of Space, man. That's a really
I asked him, how do you feel about Out of Space? He said, yeah, well, I'm going to play it.
Oh, then you can do Commodore's Machine Gun.
Oh, Machine Gun's a great track.
Yeah,
And that's a Boogie Nights on the soundtrack. So if you're going to play that,
Boogie Nights, wasn't it?
now you might as well look at like Magnet and Steel because that's on the same soundtrack. And there are times that you can get away with songs because there's guilt by association. I'm trying to find, I hit a track the other day because I looked at my wife and I go, oh, this is Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. And I Shazammed it and I was wrong. And it was not Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, but it was a group that now in hindsight, if I can find the damn thing, it made perfect sense why I thought that. I don't see it here all of a sudden, but it was actually a Buffalo Springfield track.
Oh yeah.
And it's one of those. It's sort of like when you do Badfinger. Like you want to see a group of people have a good time, Joel. I guarantee this event, you throw on like No Matter Where You Are by Badfinger. And you watch people. Yeah. Was that in Galaxy at all, Guardians? Because it should have been. It should have been. Because that, let me tell you, if they put in Sweet, they should have put in Badfinger. Because let me tell you, that's one of the best pop songs I've ever heard.
It's very 60s too. It's very late.
Well, they were on Apple. You know, Badfinger was the backing group for George Harrison's, I think, first 2 or 3 solo albums.
Really?
The entire, because Peter Frampton played on the first George Harrison solo album, and he goes, I show up in the studio and it's Badfinger. And the interviewer's like, what do you mean? He goes, no, the entire band. And I sat in with them. And George Harrison, we were all the backing band. Like,
they were very inspired by Badfinger, and they were a little disappointed that they weren't more successful because they looked up to the group as a whole, as their musicianship, and they said, hey, it's not fair. Brought them into Apple, and but everybody looked up to them for their musicianship.
A lot of the great talents, Jerry Rafferty is a good example, at some point run into these walls. Jerry Rafferty should have had 100 great songs.
Yeah, Jerry Rafferty was a little self-destructive.
He was very self-destructive, but I think part of the industry threw him in a pathway. Look at Frankie Miller. Ask 10 DJs tonight who Frankie Miller is, and then play a song and watch them swear on their mother's lives that it's Rod Stewart. And it's like, no, this is the guy that inspired Rod Stewart. Like, nobody wants to dive very deep anymore. And that's when it gets, Jimmy gave me a song the other night, or JC did. It's a Barry White remix. Dude, I already bought it. I'm like, oh, I can play this sometime. You got to be outside the fringe. I think the list you have, Joel, you make a couple, folders and record box, and you notch them up as like great, 60-year-old birthday party jams. You're going to play that stuff again and again and again because you're going to get the right audience that's going to appreciate it.
It's going to be an exercise for you, and I would love to be a fly on the wall just watching.
I would too, and see which ones stick harder.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, if he likes the Dead, you drop "I Need a Miracle" on this guy. That's a great dance track, and we haven't even mentioned it. I didn't see it on his list. I bet you could play "Tush" by ZZ Top. I bet you could do that kind of, the stuff around that period.
Probably even do Lagrange.
You probably could, but Lagrange, you got to deal with that intro. You got to either cut it or use it at a different time. But as far as dancing,
I disagree. It's a build-up.
It's a build-up, but if you're already on the dance floor, it's a long build-up. Like, what are they supposed to do?
Dance? What about out of a slow dance?
Oh, you want to go slow dance with them? I mean, you got options.
Oh, tons.
Blue Jean Blues and, no.
I mean, Temptations and Spinners and OJs for slow.
You're going to have fun. The only bad part about this, I know you weren't taking notes, and the show will not be posted until we'll have your gig. But
I'll just ping Howie. Send me the damn recording quick.
You're going to have fun with this, and I'm excited for you. I wish I was doing your event. I'm doing some college party this weekend, and it's just going to be
on the counter.
That stuff. I would rather do this one. I think this sounds like
this would be a good party.
Yeah.
It really will, because the fun of it will be to pick the right tracks.
Please
and
let
it's
us know
great to see everybody getting gigs again. I mean,
my
it excites
gosh.
me. I wish it was like that here, but
it's funny you mentioned that. I was going to talk about this in the second part of the show, which we're there already. In fact, we probably only have about 20 minutes left tonight, but I thought I'd touch on it. I did a video tonight. I posted a video, recorded it in the truck. The video is entitled "The DJ Apocalypse is Over." Now, perhaps I was being a little too optimistic with that title, but my point being was, if it hasn't opened up by you, it's coming. The worst is over. And a lot of people are getting back to work.
Yeah, it's just very interesting how Jersey politics works. It's kind of like, hey, look, we're giving you a raise with the right hand, and then, but bad news is now your taxes are 40%, and you lost your your raise. It's the same thing here. Hey, great news! New England or Northeast here, we're 70%. And we're opening up, and you can have 500 people outdoors, but you can't rent anything that's public.
Isn't Canada kind of the same thing? I mean, wasn't Pulse talking about?
Pulse is still on lockdown. He can't have a gathering over 10 people right now. That's today. And in California, we were the worst state up until a month and a half ago.
Right.
We were the last state in 50 to open gyms. My Planet Fitness only reopened literally a month and a half ago. And as of today, every county out of the 58 counties in my state, I think like 40 of them are in the lowest tier. We had color tier, like purple, red, orange, yellow. And after the CDC announcement, California announced that on June 15th, masks are gone, social distance is gone. Granted, they want this to be if you're vaccinated.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And I'm fully vaccinated, so I'm not too concerned with rolling around and going outside events.
All local politics aside, you've been busy. You've had
You know what? I'll be honest with you guys, and I hope it continues. This is the best year I've had in 5 years.
How many
on the books
have you done this season, do you think?
Already?
Yes.
I've done, I think, 13 weddings already in 2021.
Wow.
Yeah. I have a wedding this Friday.
Amazing.
Next week, I have 2 weddings. The week after, I have 2 weddings. I have a school event. I have another birthday party. There's 1 week where I literally have 5 events from Wednesday to Monday.
How about you, Joel? How many events have you had so far this year?
6, 8.
Okay.
8.
Yeah, I'm about where you're at. I mean, I haven't had that many, but I'm on track for it. the one thing that I did want to bring up that I didn't talk about in the video, and it might just be unique to me, but it seems like a lot of my events are last minute bookings, relatively speaking. They're like a month out or less.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So people are like, well, I don't know if we can do it. Oh, we can? Well, in that case, we better start finding a DJ.
Right.
And I've been fortunate enough to network with some fantastic local talent. And if they already have the event booked, they throw it to me. I just booked one yesterday sitting in the parking lot of the DMV waiting for my friend to come out. And it was like less than a month out. So I'm booking, I'm looking at my June and I'm thinking, okay, I have 3 in June, but it's the 18th of May. By
Right.
the time I get to the 1st of June, I bet I'll have more. And by the
Yeah,
time
I would think so.
I bet I'll have done more than 3.
Well, and the thing that we've all wanted and the thing that we've all been waiting for, and, we've beaten this horse to death, but that is, we all kind of came out of 2000 and started raising and pricing. And then a lot of us, including me, dropped after 2008, 2009 when things crashed. And it's taken this long to get back. I can look at a contract from 2005 and a contract from 2021, and I made more per wedding per hour in 2005, 2006.
The one I booked yesterday was great.
But no one's arguing this year.
This is a couple that's in their 70s. This is like whatever, the 10th marriage form or whatever. They're already married. They're just having a party.
Yeah.
And I'm getting the information from this very, very nice lady. She's telling me what she likes. They don't need much. You show up and they like a first dance and that's it kind of thing.
Right.
So the way I price my services is I have a base price. It's kind of the show up and play price. Where I make money, my expenses are covered, my rental fees on my equipment's covered. But as you want more stuff and I've got to do all these timelines and download all this music and all this other stuff, the price goes up,
Right.
So, my base is $1,000. That's what I feel like, I'm very happy with that. It's a week's work, but I'm not working real hard for that. But if they want more, we're closer to 17, So I told her, I'm like, look, you don't need much. I'll do it for you for my base price of $1,000. And that's all the sound, that's all the lighting, whatever. And I heard the phone. You know how you can hear somebody put their hand over the phone?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he said he'd do it for $1,000. And I heard in the background, well, do we have a choice? Like, I said, actually, you do have a choice. You could call somebody else, but
well, and
for you.
But you've and not to hijack, sidejack, whatever, but you're coming up with a price that works for you. And I think where we as an industry need to go back to is the reality of it's your business that you're running. Mm-hmm. I did a wedding 3 years ago based on a wedding I did 6 years ago. And the 3-year ago wedding, I said, my prices have gone up. For 7 hours, it would be this much. And I'm willing to offer a discount of this much because you're booking from a friend's wedding. And the email that I got back 10 seconds later was, do you take check, cash, or credit card? And I'll just tell you, because it's still one of those great weddings I did. It was a December 29th, 2018, 7 hours, and the total fee out the door for their wedding was $2,650. And that was for one system, an outdoor speaker, 2 dance lights.
You're in a destination area.
Well, but here's the catch-22. I drove to the venue and then drove home after doing an hour-and-a-half site inspection. The venue is 3.5 hours away. So just the day of the wedding and the site inspection worked out to be like 16 or 17 hours.
That's crazy.
And then the prep time, and I talked to another business owner, and he's like, congratulations, you made $114 an hour before you pay any taxes.
Right.
So, the thing with this year that I'm finding is when I tell couples, this is my price for this, I've had 2 couples say, oh, other DJs have quoted us less. And I'm like, other DJs are quoting you exactly what they're worth.
Yeah,
and of those 2 couples, One turned around the next day and said, we want to hire you. I have a Cirque du Soleil coming up. She lives in Vegas. She's a Cirque du Soleil performer. She's got her fiance's friends are in a band. They're going to play for 1 hour. And she asked if I would discount the hour. And I said, you know what? I appreciate you asking, but no, because I'm already there and set up. And my experience tells me the band may not play for the full hour. What are they going to play? 90s rock? I said, and all your guests are cool with that? She's like, yeah. I'm like, you know what? I'd rather not discount it and show up prepared to play for that hour in case the band gets drunk or doesn't play versus discounting it. And then would you feel good if I said, I'll take the hour off the contract and leave? And then if the band messes up, you have nothing for an hour? And she's like, we didn't think about that because this other DJ said he would discount it like X amount of money. And I'm like, I appreciate that, but you're a performer and so am I. This is my fee. This is what I charge. She goes, I'll have to think about it, but I'm just telling you the other DJ discounted it. I'm like, okay. And if you feel more comfortable going with him, by all means, go with him. 8 a.m. the next morning, can you please send us a contract? Not because I'm cool, but because I think she understood the difference in attitude. If you're willing to throw away your own money for an hour, you're probably not that good. I'm just going to be blunt. And if you're taking offense to that, anybody, well, that's your problem. But if you're willing to say, I'll be at your event for 5 hours for $1,000. Hey, Brian, 1 hour I'm going to have my sister play violin. Oh, I'll take $200 off the top. Well, then maybe you're not worth the $200 you're taking off. You know, if you're going to, in tough times like this where people need us because they've lost loved ones they can't attend and they have to get married because they love each other and they believe in each other, don't sell yourself short. You muddy the waters.
Short of that money, by the way.
You always have the option, Jay, of, hey, all right, during that hour, could I mow your lawn so I keep earning money? You know, something like that.
Yeah, you know, I just think when it's all said and done, you got to look back on it and realize the clients I have for this year and next. And by the way, I got hit yesterday. What's a price quote for September 23rd, 2023? Like, it's this much. Like, if you decide to move forward, let me know. The price will go up January 1st. Like, you're, 2.5 years out. That's getting crazy. Yeah. But I've realized now people take us more seriously because we're more important. A couple years ago, we weren't that important. People were like, I got a Walkman. Remember those days? Yeah, if I bring my own music on a Walkman or on an iPod or an iPad and play it for cocktail, I'm like, oh, well, I understand what you're saying. What are you going to play it through? Well, we thought we could play it through your system. I'm like, you could, but the package I'm offering you is $250 an hour. I rent my system for 1 hour for $500. Seriously? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, then I don't work. You just hook your thing up. I'll give you the cables. I'll deliver the system. I'll insure the system, and I'll take the system back. $500? I'm like, you can call around, but realize you're responsible. You got to pick it up. You got to bring it back. And it's like, then it was like you had to teach people. Now I don't think we need to. And that's why, Brian, you're getting those last minute like, oh, damn, we're going to have a celebration. We need somebody to do that. And that's what we do.
Well, the last minute thing, I believe the reason that it's happening this way is because people didn't know if they could do it or not.
Well, that too.
They couldn't plan out, 6 months in advance or whatever, or a year in advance, because they had no idea what was going to happen. Nobody knows what's going on from one day to the next.
It changes day to day sometimes. But let me ask you, do you think it's your obligation then to be fair and kind and considerate and flexible? Or do you think it's your obligation to say, I'm taking a hell of a chance leaving my house. I'll tell you what I'll do. No discount.
Well, I didn't discount this. And you're
No. I know that. I'm saying in general.
I didn't do that.
No. But for last minute
events.
No.
I don't have to. It's supply and demand right now. But I don't charge people for anything I'm not doing. I know what the rental is for my equipment. I know what it is at 5%. I know what I make per hour. I know what my out-of-pocket expenses are.
Right.
So when I do the math on that and I look at it, it's reasonable for everybody. I'm doing fine.
Right.
And so are they.
My moral compass wouldn't let me take advantage. I would.
You know what?
If my price is my price.
But that's my point, Howie. Your moral compass is correct, and I respect and appreciate you go by it. But I think it has to be a two-way compass. It has to say, I'm not going to take advantage because these people are desperate, any more than it says, let me knock a couple bucks off because it's it's last minute because they didn't plan fast enough or things changed.
Nobody's talking about discounting anything here.
Okay, that's what I wanted to establish as the overall message.
No.
I think my gut tells me that, like, I think Brian touched on it a bit, like, things are happening fast,
right.
opening up, every week something new is happening that people are like, let's have a party. Yep. I mean, like in Joel's instance, if things were still pretty bad, they might not have had that 60th party. And it was like, let's have it. Let's have it,
True.
Let me ask you guys something, because it's happened to me. Like you're having the things that are far away out, but the last minute things it's been weird. It's like I say, well, I need this much deposit. They go, well, no, I'm just going to write you a check for the whole thing. Like, are you getting?
They want to lock it in.
They want to lock it in. Are you guys getting that?
Yes,
I've had 4 prepays already.
Yeah,
me too.
It's
too. Weird.
We'll just pay up front.
Yeah,
that's what they said. But
it's funny they all but some of them would use the, if I pay cash, do I get a deal? I'm like, no. Well, if I pay up front, do I get a deal? I'm like, honestly, no. You're getting married next September. If anything, I'd rather you didn't pay up front. Right. It's like, seriously? I'm like, yeah, and here's why. You're going to pay me a deposit now, and that means September 2022, I'm going to collect X amount of money from you and all my other clients. That's that income plus going forward. I had a month a couple years ago where I brought in 0 income. I had no new bookings. I had 7 weddings, and they were all paid for way ahead. And I'm like looking around going, I'm not getting a dime this month. Now you could argue and say, yeah, but you already got paid a year and a half ago. Yeah, but it's not as easy as it looks sometimes to just say, stash this. That's what I love about Venmo and PayPal. Mm-hmm. You can just stay there. Right. Keep it over there. Because if you get a check back in the check days, you throw a bunch of checks in your bank account, business or personal. It's very easy to look at that money today and spend it today sometimes.
Oh, I bought a transmission today.
See, and Brian lost his mind.
I'm using money for a gig I'm doing in June because I had that cash sitting here. I mean, it was a cash transaction. What am I going to go to the bank and take it out or use that cash?
Yeah.
So it's too tempting. I'd rather get the money on the day of the gig, and that's just how I roll.
Typically do.
And then you're always getting paid forward.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. I had one client who was like, that totally makes sense. I'll tell you what, I'll pay you the retainer now, and I'll pay you the balance due the week of. I'm like, cool. He goes, and I appreciate you being cool about like entertaining the discount issue. I'm like, yeah, but I got to pay taxes. It's not like I can get around this with like, give me the cash. I'll go hide it someplace.
Well, maybe a lot of people are in the same boat we're in. It's like, hey, look, I have this money now to pay the DJ. And if something rotten happens, I won't. So I better pay the DJ now to lock this in.
That's a great point.
Maybe they're kind of, if I can try to empathize, they're almost having the same problem we're having.
Yeah, that's a great point, Brian. I never really looked at it from that advantage, but you know what?
Yeah,
that makes a ton of sense. That really does.
I felt like that really kicked in with the stimulus checks. That was a big one.
Yeah.
I've got a client.
In the past, I've done things where when people have asked for discounts and stuff, I said, well, you know what you can do? Okay, give $100 down, and then I'll let you make monthly payments up until I'm, kind of like Rent-A-Center. It's not such a big bite each month.
Right.
If it's far enough out.
It's just amazes me sometimes to look around and say, things just appear, literally before pandemic, a year before, 98% of my clients, 99.1 paid on check. I received 1 physical check in the mail in the last 20 months. Every dime of every client goes to one of 4 sources. And I list them. I just go, what are you most comfortable with for this Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, Apple Pay? The only thing I don't use is Zelle. And it still kind of blows me away that we live in this world where you can just, with your phone, knock money. I mean, I'm old enough to remember that you had to go to the bank. I take a photo of a check, and it magically appears in my bank.
Yeah,
That's still kind of, I appreciate the technology and respect it.
So you old enough to have put a dime in your shoes just in case you had to make an emergency call?
Oh. No, I'm not, Howie. I'm old enough to have put a dime in my penny loafers. And when I would go to the hockey rink, my dad would say, "Do you have 10 cents to call us for a ride?" And I would say, "No. Can I have 35 cents because hot chocolate is 25?" And he would give me a quarter and a dime, and that would cover me for 3 or 4 hours of skating on a Friday night in junior high.
You guys know I love talking about money, so it really hurts my heart to wrap the show tonight because money turns me on. I love talking about it.
So antisocial. You need a motorcycle jacket and a pair of old Wayfarers. Seriously, Brian, you're like the antisocial biker. You're the Jack Kerouac meets Lou Reed of the Milwaukee area.
That's right.
With that hairdo, especially.
Yeah.
Just saying.
So,
Brian, to be totally honest,
I'm looking forward to hearing your report from.
Yeah, I am too.
This Friday,
Gentlemen, I greatly appreciate it. You made me feel really good about this one. I just got to get the recording from Howie as quickly because I forgot to hit the record button on my end.
Oh, well,
I should have recorded it on my end.
Well, and the other thing is, any night in the chill room, I guarantee that Jimmy Spin and one of the greatest minds in music today from Mexico City, JC, his knowledge of tracks, especially 80s and before, his depth is pretty deep. So
Brian
I think
does not suck either.
Brian K. Just even if you only got Jimmy, Brian, and JC, you'd have 10 of these events in the bag. So
John from Boston.
Oh, forget it. He's bordering on the savant level sometimes.
And this isn't exactly out of Howie's wheelhouse either. So we're all
no. I think you got a lot of support coming your way. I think you should call the client and say, you know what, I'll be honest with you. I think you need 8 hours, but I'm not going to charge for the other 4, just so you can flex a little bit, Joel.
Oh, by the way,
11, but it's open until 1, so we could keep it.
Well, you know what? It looks like you might be picking up some overtime. I hope that's in your contract that you get paid.
I'm going to need a few grand because I got to fly in a couple assistants from all over the country who want to observe. So
that's true.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe I could stream behind you, have you sit there and watch a Zoom while I'm doing the whole thing.
Just get your phone out and do the highlight gig log thing and share it with us.
You know what? Because I'll forget. Not for tonight, but a future show. Are we working our way to where a DJ will do a wedding, send it to Twitch, and have the chat where people can come in and say, you know what you should play next?
God, I hope not.
I hope not.
No, but I'm saying, would it be like if you were doing a wedding where you started to get in trouble and you suddenly decided to stream on Twitch and you get 10 DJs in the chat going, dude, I see where you're going with this. Try this track.
I'm not trying to be that guy, but you know what? I know what I'm doing. Get out of me.
No. I agree. I'm just saying, can you imagine what kind of service? Maybe this is a chargeable service on a night off, Brian. Maybe we become the DJ whatevers that you get us in a chat live at your wedding.
And we can see. Give us a call.
I'm not kidding. With streaming being the next big thing, maybe streaming to people.
I sure hope not. If they need somebody who can actually program at their event, they should have hired me. I shouldn't be at home taking a call.
I'm just saying. You're in,
will travel.
They're in Hawaii and they go, damn, I just can't get this dance floor going. What have you played? Here's my playlist. Okay, try this.
You suck. Quit. Go get a job at 7-Eleven because
this is why you need the motorcycle jacket and the Wayfarers, rolled up jeans and biker boots. I'm telling you.
Well, I hope John doesn't fire us this week.
Is that on the table? My contract's up for negotiation.
It might be. I mean, I feel like that we're teeter-tottering every week. You would be sure.
Well, Dewey Cheatham and Howe told me that they're renegotiating with John. So.
But I want to thank you guys for joining us tonight. I want to thank you for watching tonight.
Thank you.
Please,
as always,
in the chill room some night. You can always check us out on Tuesday nights at 9 Central live in the chill room. You can just kind of turn your camera and mic off and be a fly on the wall. Alternately, we usually stick around after the show. We should be wrapped up around 10 Central, and you can hang out with us. So you're always welcome. Come on in. We'd love to see you. From Swinging Temecula, California, Georgia, and I don't know where the hell Howie lives.
I think he's in New York City now. I think he moved.
Jersey. He's in
Hell's Kitchen.
Jersey.
Oh, yeah.
Hell's Kitchen sounds better, though.
In Milwaukee here. Okay.
Tri-State.
We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Stay well, everybody.